What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel, Dialogue with Dave. Today we have a really special guest. He's my friend Phil Lindsay, Doctor of Physical Therapy. Today we're going to be talking about athletes, the way they go through rehab and the mental state they're in. Please drop a like, subscribe to this channel. Let's get right into this video. Hi Phil, well thanks for coming.
Yeah, great to be here. This is so exciting.
The COVID pound?
COVID pound it is.
Alright, so let's just jump right into it. So, why did you decide to become a physical therapist?
It's a great question. So growing up, I loved being athletic, but also I really was influenced and wanted to be a part of the medical field. So I found a blend of the two within physical therapy.
Yeah, and what have you been doing so far in your physical therapy career? Where have you worked? Kind of where have you liked, dislikes?
Yeah, so I was first at a school going into an outpatient clinic, working with athletes, and also a lot of the general population. That was great. It was really nice. What bothered me there was that it wasn't too much of one-on-one quality care. It was a little bit of a hustle, and I wanted to provide more. So from there, I moved on. So.
Yeah, so would you say you have a specialty now, or is it still kind of widespread?
Yeah, so it's right now I'm working with athletes still, and general population. I would say my specialty is with orthopedics.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what type of athletes do you work with? Do you work with children? Do you work with professional athletes? Kind of, what's your range of athletes that you work with?
Sure. So I don't work with professional athletes, but I do work with athletes who are predominantly runners. A couple of my coworkers are professional athletes or have been professional athletes.
Yeah, and what type of injuries do you see with these athletes? Like, what are the type of injuries they deal with?
Sure. So sports hernias with runners, back pain, knee pain, foot and ankle pain. So basically, predominantly from the trunk down.
Okay. And some of these athletes I'm sure have to do long-term care. What are some of the things that go into long-term care versus short-term care?
Yes, so when we're talking long-term care with athletes or people who are just athletic in general, when they come to me, it's usually in the sense that they've had an injury for a long time and they've exhausted their other treatment options. So they've been to traditional physical therapy, they've been to a doctor and received injections. Maybe they went through surgery, or maybe they haven't yet, but they've been suffering injury or pain of some sort that's been lasting a long time. And so at that point when they come to me, it's not always a quick fix. You know, with physical rehabilitation and becoming a better version of your old self, they understand it's not. And so that's this type of long-term care that we sometimes deal with, people who have withstood injuries for a long time.
Yeah, so are you kind of almost like a last resort to either avoid surgery or even like post-surgery?
That's a great way to put it. Last resort, yeah. So people have exhausted all of their options.
Yeah. So I guess this is like a two-part. This is gonna be a two-part question. First part is, when athletes come and they're trying to avoid surgery, is there something different that you do when an athlete comes out of surgery? Like what are the main differences on a day-to-day level with those athletes?
Before versus after. Sure. So I wouldn't say that I'm dealing with too many athletes who are considering surgery. But I can use a general layperson, for example, for that, which they're generally athletic, but just not particularly in any sport. So if I'm working with someone who's considering surgery, you know, it's first of all it's getting them in the mindset that we need to basically restructure their mindset and how they're approaching their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So getting them to think that, you know, there's movements, and if this is the case, you know, it's a process of narrowing the funnel and differential diagnosis and things like that. If this is the case, we need to basically restructure how this person is moving throughout their daily lifestyle throughout their sport-related activity or just their activities in general, to basically ensure that everything that they're doing is not contributing to the path towards surgery and maybe to reverse it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny that you mentioned that. Like you said, the movement disorders. Like there's multiple ways to handle them.
Yeah.
One thing that I find interesting is you do what you have to do at the office, but also you're telling them how to do things at home in their daily lives.
Yeah.
What's a good example you could tell the viewers? Like, what's something that you could explain? Like, this athlete maybe hurt his knee or his back, and when he goes home or she goes home, what are they doing differently, or how are you helping them?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the part I absolutely love, is getting involved with what they're doing at home. And so now that's where my career took me. So I go to people's homes and go to their places of work, where they spend the most of their time, to see how they're interacting with their environment, and so we can rectify what it is they might be doing for hours at end, to basically divert their path in the future away from something like surgery.
Yeah, kind of like sitting at a desk, the way maybe they do a lot of walking, or standing at work,
Absolutely, and we'll supplement all that with the traditional physical therapy and exercise. But we dive deep into the nuances of their everyday movement and lifestyle, which is what genuinely makes up ourselves and decides what we do with our life.
Alright, so what would you do if one of your patients, and this can be a general athlete or just a general patient, kind of becomes aggressive or refuses to work with you?
No, that's an interesting question. So, aggressive and upset with, I think the closest thing that I've experienced to that would be with what they're experiencing or what they're going through. Not necessarily resistant to therapy or training, because it's completely voluntary for them. And I always make sure that's known. This is our approach, and if you choose to sign up for it, it's up to you. We can't force anyone to do it. But they've been aggressive or very frustrated with what they're experiencing, and that is a complicated process. Following that, having to deal with that.
Is it kind of they're upset that they're injured, and the frustration of being injured is what's kind of putting them in the kind of that negative mental state?
Absolutely, it 100% is. I think it's a huge contributor. People's mindset, their frustration, to their performance.
Yeah.
And also, but also how they present. The severity of their symptoms and the quality of their movement, things like that. It's evident.
Yeah, I mean, the mental part is huge, especially for the athletes. I mean, we'll get into this a little bit later, but definitely the way they think about treatment, or even going back into their sport, like what if something like that happens again. But we'll definitely talk about that, in a little bit. But kind of going back to you, let's talk something a little bit more positive. What's kind of an experience that you had where you did an excellent job with someone, just they came in, they had whatever injury they had or whatever they were dealing with, and you just delivered an absolute excellent, treatment. Do you have a story like that?
Yeah, and it's nothing earth-shattering really, but it's one that's really stuck with me. Someone came to me and they were really upset because their knee was clicking and there was some pain associated with it. They were really frustrated. They weren't able to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And they were, it wasn't emergent, but the fact that we were able to talk and I was able to see him in his own environment, see how he was moving, and I was able to quickly assess how he was loading his knee in this case, and we were able to adjust and tweak how he was positioning himself for his lifestyle movements that he needed to do.
Yeah. And
the clicking and pain was gone. And now he knows going forward to move and position his knee in a way that will never cause him pain, and he was ecstatic, as was I.
No, I mean that's kind of what you just touched on earlier. Like you changed the way his life.
Yes.
And you changed not just the way, I came in and I did the rehab. I mean, this is how he literally walks and bends his knee every single day for the rest of his life.
Exactly.
And that's awesome, you know. And a lot of people, maybe they don't understand that physical therapy, what physical therapy is, or, you know, it's changing someone's, you know, lifestyle a little bit for the better. And I know that you do a lot of these things where you, I saw actually one of your videos where you were teaching people how to even, you know, lift their foot from gas to a brake, you know, and then, and now it's funny, but like little things like that, people don't understand.
Yeah. Our mindset and how we approach our daily routine, that's paramount. Like it either leads to, you know, great longevity, or it can lead to, you know, surgery, you know, chronic disease. So it's a path that we have to voluntarily choose to take on a daily basis.
Yeah, and you know, this question, I mean, I'm sure that everyone has some type of stress in any job they do. But for you as a PT, you know, specifically, you know, you deal with, you know, stress does happen, you know, and how do you deal with that stress when, you know, because there's days where things are bad, but, you know, when you're working with people and, you know, you're working in the healthcare field, like you said, it's probably a little bit more, you know, difficult than someone, you know, working on a computer.
Yeah, so there's definitely some stress, and just recently I've been dealing with a stressful situation. You know, not physically, but because I'm not the one that is, you know, in pain or suffering from an issue or an injury, but my client, you know, is having, you know, not everyone has a rewarding story like the one we just were talking about.
Yeah.
So this individual is coming to me multiple years of having pain, and, you know, we're going through our processes, and he's moving the right way that we know is productive for his injury. He's properly, you know, activating all that he needs to in order to support his injury based upon evidence and things like that. But he's still suffering from pain to some extent. It's not getting better as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting type of frustration, or you know, sense that I feel on my end that, you know, it's not improving. But I have to deal with that in a way that, you know, is very practical. You know, there's other healthcare workers that might have another viewpoint of the approach on how to treat this person. So what do? We collaborate with our colleagues.
Absolutely.
So I'll deal with the frustration through collaboration with others.
Yeah, I actually wanted to touch on this. You know, what if someone came in with something that you were unfamiliar with? Maybe it's something that you've seen, but you maybe never worked with. You know, the collaboration. You know, do you have any examples of that where you've had a patient come in and not necessarily saying you didn't know what to do, but you kind of went somewhere else for a little bit more insight on how to help them? Yeah,
absolutely. So that does happen, and the whole point is to just be, you know, to be humble, essentially. You know, only, you know, we want to give the client the best possible chance to recover as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So we need to refer, you know, in cases that we cannot treat the best we can.
Yeah.
So we need to refer out.
Yeah, so kind of touching more on the sports psychology aspect of it right now, you know, a little bit of my field.
Yeah.
Do you use goal setting and imagery? And do the athletes you work with, do they use any type of goal setting or imagery kind of for their short, middle, long-term, you know, goals? And is it, you know, what's an example of something you've seen that they've done?
Absolutely. So definitely goal setting. We have to have goals in order to know what we're working towards and demonstrate progress. So goals are huge, short and long term. Imagery particularly, I find to be very, very helpful. So I'll give an example. An athlete that I was working with, you know, he right now is actually a little bit, you know, downtrodden about his injury. He's not thrilled about how it's going. So he'll give me the saying like, oh, I just want to get back to, you know, speed walking right now. And I said, well, you know, I think we can get you back better to that, to where you were with running. But, you know, I want you to essentially have that imagery to visualize yourself running and visualize that goal and what it's going to feel like when you're doing it.
Absolutely.
So that goes a long way, because not only essentially, you know, I can't speak too much on what it does, psychological how it does affects the psychology of the individual, but you know, I can see the effects on their face, on their performance in our sessions
Yeah.
when they can see that, or when they're cued to see that.
Yeah, it's actually great that you say that, because I work with athletes, and the first thing I do when I sit down with them is I make them write down their goals. And I have daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, 1 year goal, whatever the goal is, but I make them write it down.
Okay.
And as they complete these goals, I physically have them get a pen, cross it out, check it off, whatever it is. And when they do that, I say, okay, now add a new goal. So there's always something they're striving for, and you can see that once they physically take out that pen or pencil and they cross it out, it's just like, you look at them and, and they're just smiling, they're happy, they're like, yeah, I did this. And that's kind of how recovery, I think, should be. I mean, with the goal setting. And the greatest part is that builds with the imagery. I'd say, with COVID right now, a lot of athletes are saying, I can't go on the court, or I can't go on the field. And I'm like, what I want you to do is take 10-15 minutes. I want you to just imagine what you'd be doing on the field. I want you to imagine the plays you'd be running, the drills you'd be doing, and just imagine it. And I've had some people, and I don't say this doesn't work for everyone, everyone's different, but I've had a lot of athletes, they say, David, that's, it's helped me so much. I haven't been on the court, and then when I thought I'd come back after 3 months, 4 months, whatever it was, and I'd be horrible, but that imagery, I kind of took me a day or two, and I was right back at it, and I was like, that's incredible. And look what you're saying, you can see it in the athlete. You see that, like, they're like, oh, I'm gonna get back to running.
That's amazing.
Because they think about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. It must be so rewarding. Do you ever see people unable to achieve their goals, or do they have any trouble? Where's the trouble lie?
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, the worst thing that I see is people make goals that are unachievable. They say they want to be number one in the county, or they want to be number one in the state.
Okay.
And they're putting these goals these are great goals. These are amazing goals. But if you have these goals that are set so high that you can never take out your pen or pencil and cross it out, you're going to lose all your confidence, you're going to get upset, and it's actually going to hurt you.
Gotcha.
And when something like that happens, I'll give you a perfect example. There was a kid I was working with, and great player. I mean, he was a tennis player, top 10 in the state, really good. And he wrote down his goals, and I asked everyone how they were doing his goals. And he goes, David, I haven't crossed out any goals. So I took a look at his goals, and like I was saying, he's like, I want to be top 3 in the state. I want to beat kids I've never beaten. And I'm saying, so these are great long-term goals. I said, give me an example of a short-term goal. And what he thought a short-term goal was in a month. And I told him, how about you make a goal for today? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, a short-term goal is something that you can accomplish today. So I made him write down 10 short-term goals, one through Monday, Tuesday, a couple on the weekend. And one of them was, have a practice where you just have fun. As simple as that, something silly like that, but he did it, crossed it off.
Yeah.
Next thing was, have a practice where you work with someone who's not as good as you. That's as simple as hitting with someone that's not as good as you.
Yeah.
And then these goals started to get a little bit hard, but they weren't so hard. But by the time a month went by, he had a whole entire page of things crossed off. He was super motivated, and that's what it takes. Sometimes you gotta change someone's perspective and understanding of what a goal is, and what a short-term goal is, what a long-term goal is.
Yeah.
And I mean, for you as a physical therapist, I mean, that's huge. If you can tell someone today their goal is just to walk up and down, and that's a goal they can accomplish. I don't know if that's something that you do, but the little things that they can do, just to give them that sense of success and they're doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I guess it really comes down to the bottom line, to have realistic goals, to be humble, but also we have to know who we're dealing with, and I think we're
Yeah.
in such unique opportunities and fortunate opportunities to be doing that, to have the time, for you to work with your clients and get to know them, so you can set these realistic goals and then see them climb and achieve each one. And same thing on the physical therapy end, have the time to get to know the client. Now that I'm working one-on-one and have
Yeah.
unlimited time with my clients.
It's great.
So you see not only quicker change, but you see the long-term change too, and it's the best thing in the world.
No, it really is. I mean, I've had the opportunity to work with professional athletes, but I haven't worked with any professional athletes who have been injured. Thankfully, I haven't had to do that. But the mindset that a professional athlete has, you would think that that they make goals or that are win the world, and I do the same thing that I do with the 10-year-olds with a professional athlete.
And that's amazing.
Yeah, and they're like laughing. They're like, they're like, why do I have to achieve this goal? I'm like, just do it. I'm just try it. And they come back. They see me in a week and 2 weeks, and they're like, you know what? It's funny that you said that because I did these things and it helped me.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that I said, I work with I got to work with professional tennis players, and I was like, just have a same thing I told the others. I have a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
And to them it's like, what do you mean fun? I said, just have fun.
Yeah.
And he came back and he's like, these little goals, I mean, they helped me achieve that 1 month goal that I had.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you don't understand. It doesn't matter who you are, imagery, goal setting, all that stuff. It's great and it helps everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it totally does.
Talking about this, goal setting and stuff. Confidence, everyone lacks confidence. Now you're working with an athlete and that their confidence is going to be low and they're going to be scared. Is there something that you do to kind of build up their confidence, to say, don't worry, you'll be back to running, your marathons or your races? Is there anything that you do to kind of build their confidence?
Absolutely. So building confidence, it can happen in a lot of different ways. From a physical therapist standpoint, you can, support them verbally and reassure them that, an athlete with a similar injury had this success with it. So you can reassure them based upon other situations.
Yeah.
And it never happens fast enough with
No.
an athlete
Never
for
does,
reaching
yeah.
goals and recovering
Mm-hmm.
from injury. So, that's not good enough in most cases. So what we do after that is kind of going back to the goal setting, show them physically that they can achieve these goals, these short-term goals, and they're not constantly failing at the long-term goals. So make these short-term goals, imagine these short-term goals, and achieve them one by one, so that each is a small victory towards the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So that's how we boost confidence.
That's great. And now, is there something that would decrease confidence? Doing what you just said, though, is there situations where that decreases their confidence?
Interesting. So taking that route, decreasing confidence. So, my first thought, this could possibly decrease their confidence in a sense if they're stuck at a goal, or if they can't achieve a goal.
Yeah.
And then that takes us to the point of, okay, what are we doing? We need to reroute, and we need to be humble with ourselves. Do we need another set of eyes on it? Do we need to refer out?
Yeah.
Making sure that we're offering all we can.
Mm-hmm.
We can only do so much.
Yeah.
We can't cure everyone, but it's a healthcare profession, so we have a huge team in place to do so.
A lot of different parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I didn't say that kind of as like a trick question. Just kind of some of the viewers who might be watching this who feel like what their PT is doing is not helping them. It's decreasing their confidence. I just want them to understand that you're not out there trying to, make them worse. I mean, you're out there trying to help them. Maybe your method's not working. And to these viewers who are dealing with this thing, I mean, tell your PT or tell your sports psychologist, this isn't working.
Oh, great point. Yeah, from the client perspective, absolutely. The communication is key. You guys have to be one unit when you're working, and if you're not achieving goals, you need to be completely upfront about everything. And that's why I love the position that I'm in now, because when I wake up in the first thing in the morning, I'm contacting my clients.
Yeah.
And I want to know how they slept.
Mm-hmm.
What are they feeling today? Do we need to meet? Do we need to wait a day? Tell me your movement routine that you're gonna be doing, because I want to know all aspects of their life that's going to contribute to these things.
That's great. And what you might not, well, not you, but me, you, the client, what they might not understand is they're the ones who are in charge.
Yes.
They think you're the professional and you know everything, which you are the professional and you're doing your job, but they're the ones who say, Phil, this isn't working, or David, what you're saying isn't working. If the client is only listening to you, you don't know if you're giving them the absolute best treatment, and they're just like, oh, okay, he's telling me this or she's telling me this, it has to be right. As the client, you are in charge. You tell the people you're working with what you want, what's working, what's not working, because then that helps us.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I tell my clients that. I said, you know your body better than anyone. I can know everything you're showing me and everything I can feel on you.
Yeah.
But you have the answer, and it's amazing. If our clients, I'm sure with you as well, if we talk to our clients and get to know them well enough, they essentially say everything that you need to know, and they say exactly what they need to get better. Whether they say, oh, I feel like this side is just weak, or I feel like there's my foot is just burning. I feel like it needs to be stretched or something like that. Yeah. And then it's just guiding them into what exactly they're saying.
I have a wonderful example. I was working with this girl. She was about 14, 15 years old, and I asked her a simple question, and she gave me such a textbook dictionary answer. And I looked at her and I said, all right, let's try this again. And she goes, isn't that what you want to hear? I said, that's exactly why we're trying to do this again. I don't want to hear what a dictionary or what a note would tell me. Tell me in your own words.
Yeah.
What it is that you need, that's the struggle is. And she did it. And from that day on, our conversations were just, there was no more dictionary type, this is what I want to hear, because I don't want, that doesn't help me.
Yeah. So
now me and this girl, we started working, and every day, just conversations, dialogues, text messages, phone calls, FaceTimes, in person, but it was a good dialogue. And this girl, she wasn't the best. She really wasn't an incredible athlete. But this girl, over the past 6 months, has worked her way up into the top 10 in the state. And I'm not saying it's because of me. She puts in the hard work, but this open dialogue helped me guide her into the right direction. Instead of these textbook answers that we were just talking about, it's tell me in your own words what it is.
Yeah. So here's the question then. How do we get there faster and quicker? How do we break down that barrier and get extremely personal?
Yeah.
And get to work essentially.
Yeah. The one thing I would say, hello Zeus, welcome to the interview. Yeah. You can hang out. Let's let the viewers, a little eye candy from dogs, dog lovers out there. But the one thing is build a relationship. That's what I've done. Build a friendship and build the trust.
Sure.
And you're gonna have a lot of resistance. Some people are really awesome and it's gonna be easy. You're gonna be friends. Some people are gonna be really resistant to that, and it just takes time.
Yeah.
But once you build that relationship, once you build that trust, and they can kind of let their guard down and trust you, that's when everything becomes huge success.
Yeah.
At least in my experience.
Absolutely. And I think that's a huge part of the battle too, is just getting there with people so they can divulge everything they need to, the missing key pieces, so choosing the right words and trying to find the right setting even to get someone to basically open up and give you everything they need to. The right feedback if you're doing it correctly, or to put them in the right mindset that they could tell you something that they're doing that they didn't want to tell you. So it's interesting.
A lot of support. They need to have support from their family, their friends, from you, from me,
Support.
And it has to be positive support. There's gonna be days where they're super negative. So any type of little positive, message. It could be, hey, you're doing a good job today, or, I know this is tough, but just keep doing it.
Yeah, positive support. Yeah, that's a good point.
I want to go back for a second and talk about, what do you do when an athlete has, a fear of going back, and they're like, I'm gonna go back, and what if I re-injure myself? I know for me that's a huge mental thing. Like, their confidence is low, they're scared to come back, and you can see actually in NBA, NFL, a lot of players who've got injured, when they've come back, they haven't been the same, and their careers have ended essentially.
Yeah.
There has been the other situation where people come back from their injury and they come back better.
Mm-hmm.
How do we, work towards athletes coming back and being better? Kind of eliminating that fear of what if I get re-injured, or kind of when they come back have their confidence at an all-time high.
Mm-hmm. Well, athlete or not, from a physical standpoint, they're battle tested. We're replicating live gameplay to our best ability, and we do return them to sport, slowly, but in the mind, it's a different story. So the closest thing that we can do is going back to the imagery, having to imagine themselves being better than before, or realistically setting goals again too, reaching those goals, realistic goals within their return to sport activity. So I think that's a good first step if they're lacking that confidence. Another thing too is also keep on emphasizing that when we're working with them, not only are they rehabbed, but now they've learned movements in ways that they've been doing prior, which have resulted in their injury, if it was in that nature, or it could have been traumatic, but now they know how to move in a way that supports the health of their body, and it's going to help them even be stronger, so they're more resistant to undergoing another injury.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of wrapping things up, the things that I want the viewers to really, understand is confidence, positivity, changing your daily life, movements, not being scared of a failure, little goals, long-term goals, these are all things that people know, and people are, yeah, I get it. But really I want these people who maybe you're dealing with an injury yourself, these are great tips, and I'm not saying that if you follow every single step, everything's gonna work. It's never like that.
Yeah.
But out of everything we talked about, there's gonna be things that people pick up, and it's gonna help them, and that's what it's all about. Helping someone, in any way possible, just so they can be in their overall life, just happier and healthier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Your mental health and your physical health, is not only important just when you need it, but it's important and hugely relevant on a day-to-day basis. And they're not separate. They're essentially one and the same.
Yeah.
So it's an everyday practice. It's a rewarding practice.
Yeah.
Both when you're injured and even when you're not injured. So
Great.
It's amazing.
Great. All right, Phil. I want to give you a second to kind of look into the camera, tell the viewers, tell them what you do, where you work, on your Instagram. Just give them, it's your time right now.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Phil, Doctor of Physical Therapy. Right now, I'm working with a company, a concierge health and wellness company called You Need the Lab by Aaron Bonser. We provide concierge physical therapy and personal training to our clients on a one-to-one basis. As it's a phenomenal service. It's extremely hyper personal, and it's if your health and wellness is here for you, it's the utmost importance in your life. That's exactly what it is for us as well. So, we do everything we can. We pull out all the stops to help you achieve your goals in a very personal way. After that, I have my own business as well. Right now it's an online business, but I do go into the homes and provide physical therapy, and it's called EVOM Medical. And there's a lot of cool things coming up with that too in the next couple weeks. So
yeah, definitely excited to hear about that and see it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm gonna put everything in the link. I'm gonna put Phil's Instagram, his company. So if you ever need to, get in touch with Phil, all that information will be there.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for watching, guys. And Phil, it was great to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah. All right. We're out. Hey guys, and thanks for making it to the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy. Please drop a comment. Let me know who you want me to interview, what type of athlete, what type of person. I'm open to anything and all comments. Please drop a like, show me some love, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.